Hello and welcome to another war game, although this is going to be called a skirmish because of the forces involved. There's only one full regiment on both sides. Now, the Brunswicks have the honour of holding the field today, and all the units here are Brunswick units. In the middle there we have Braun's house. Farmer Braun is delighted to have a battalion of Brunswicks infest his house, and they're packed in there like sardines. Around the perimeter of the lovely hedge that Braun grew are the Brunswick rifles, and remember, rifles outrange muskets. The supply wagons are set up at the back. There is a howitzer, and it's operated by Brunswick troops, and we have the 3rd Battalion of Brunswicks on the right flank. The 2nd is in the house, and the 1st is in the field over here. And the idea behind that is to try and catch any enemy on the flank who attack the house, and Brunswick Lancers connecting the two troops. Now, the commander has been told that the French are approaching, and he's drawn his forces up, ready to counteract them. Now, the French commander we'll get back to him in just a second. Okay, looking at the field from the French side, the commander has ridden forward, and he's very cleverly placed himself out of alignment of the howitzer, and on the opposite side of the field to the lancers. He's got his personal bodyguard of Mamelukes with him. Now, he was well advised by his reconnaissance hussars as to how the Brunswicks were set up, and he has made out his battle plan accordingly. I just happen to be privy to it, and I think it's very clever, actually. The orders have been given, and the French troops are moving towards this point. So I don't want to spoil it for you, but let's see how this commander is going to try and crack this rather difficult situation. And remember, he's coming on with only one regiment of French, made up of 3 battalions, 1 battalion of lights, and a half battalion regiment of dragoons and hussars, and a horse gun, which, of course, as we know, is not hard hitting, but it's very flexible and fast. So, without further ado, let's get on with the game, and I will once again show you where we're at the end of each move. And so it starts, the end of move 1, and the French have moved on to the field. The light troops, which are German, are screening the 3 battalions of the 20th Regiment, and the French are advancing in line. The howitzer has landed a shell and killed one. Here's the horse gun on the French left flank firing. He's missed the howitzer, and really we can't see any French cavalry at this point. Interesting. End of move 2, the French are advancing. Oh, and there's the dragoons backing up the battalion on the right flank. Again, the howitzer is concentrating on this battalion on the left flank as it advances and taking out casualties. The horse gun, which was at long range, the last shot, has moved up the road, and it's protected at this point by that ridge. And really, that's all that's happening at the end of move 2. End of move 3. The horse gun has set up at the intersection and is firing at the flank of the howitzer, desperately trying to put it out of action to help the French troops come forward. They're out of range of that Brunswick battalion there. As the French advance, they're going to very soon be within range of those rifles, the Brunswick rifles. But here's one of the cleverest things I thought the commander had come up with. He got his hussars, which they can do in open order, to approach through the forest. They've emerged from the forest, formed up, and now their intent is to attack this Brunswick battalion from the flank, just as it was getting ready and almost within range to fire on this French battalion advancing here. We'll have a result of this engagement by the end of next move, but if this works, it's going to be a very good move on the French part, but we shall see. The end of move number 4, and we really need to examine the implications of what's happened here. The Hussars have achieved their goal. They've hit the Brunswick battalion in the flank and decimated it, lost a few of their own in the process, but this has completely knocked out 1/3 of the Brunswick troops. The problem now arises that these lancers are caught between guarding the baggage train and being hit in the flank themselves if they charge the French infantry by these Hussars now standing in the flank, and they're behind a wall. I don't know if you've watched the video on cavalry, but in the tricolour, those cavalry there can't jump a wall like that. They're classed as heavy cavalry, whereas you've seen that the Hussars can. So the Lancers can't even chase these Hussars out. This Brunswick battalion sent some light troops forward to try and chase the horse gun away, which it effectively did. The horse gun got out of range of the muskets of the Brunswick lights, but returned some canister and killed one light. But in so doing, it's taken the pressure off the howitzer, which is continuing to fire on this battalion and taking out casualties, albeit 1 or 2 at a time. So the Brunswick commander is now caught in a little bit of a predicament. He has to keep a close eye on his baggage ammunition train, because if that's destroyed, his ability to stay on the field and fight is gone also. Right, so that's the tactical situation. It'll be interesting to see how this develops. The end of move number 5, and the French commander here must be feeling quite secure. He sent his Mamelukes off on a mission, and I suspect it's to go around the flank of the Brunswicks. The horse gun is continuing to try and knock out the Brunswick howitzers, but it's been quite ineffectual. It needs to get closer, but that battalion there is keeping it at bay. The lights from that battalion have retreated back behind cover. The German light battalion here, the commander sent men forward to attack the howitzer, and they did manage to kill some of the crew. They've been the most successful so far. However, a round of canister and some very accurate shooting from the rifles there managed to destroy the whole section that was sent forward. There's a messenger here being sent out by the commander, and as all messages have very important orders, we'll wait to see what they are. End of move number 6. The howitzer continuing to concentrate on this French battalion here, taking out more casualties. The horse gun has moved up onto the ridge and is now firing down the flank of the Brunswicks, and as you can see, has already taken out a section of them. The Mamelukes are continuing to ride around the flank there as suspected. The messenger here is progressing across the field, otherwise the French advance is halted. The German rifles here are in range of the, their muskets are in range of the Brunswick rifles, who have fired and killed one of that section. So they either need to pull back or advance, probably pull back. Now I hope you're following this and thinking to yourself, I would do this, I would try that. It's so frustrating. These lancers here seem to be unable to move. They're faced with cavalry there waiting. They have to protect that baggage train. There's danger approaching on the Brunswick's right flank. Should the commander pull them out to go and take care of the Mamelukes coming around, he can see them. Or if he does, and this section move forward, what does he do? What would you do? Well, let's see what this messenger has installed for the section of troops here. End of move number 7. The messenger has arrived, and the 2nd Battalion of the 20th Regiment, drums beating, is now advancing towards the Brunswick Lancers, supported of course by the Dragoons. So this is going to bring things to a head. The Brunswick Rifles are continuing to pick away at these lights, German lights over here, which are screening that battalion. That howitzer is continuing to pick on this particular battalion here, concentrate on it. And there's a good reason for that. If he can kill enough men and break that battalion, that's a third of the French attacking force that is going to retreat. You can see over there that battalion of Brunswicks has turned to face the cannon into line, and that's reduced their casualties from the last shot. The Mamelukes are coming around behind the windmill, but the Brunswick commander has sent messages out, and a section of the Brunswick Rifles have turned and moved quickly to form a protective line against the ammunition train. There's another messenger gone over to the Lancers, so they're getting orders for something. No doubt we'll see next move. So it's starting to come to a head. Now this is the end of the movement phase of move 8, not the end of move 8. And I just need to show you some important events that are happening here. You'll see the German light troops have once again advanced to within musket range of the howitzer, and they're trying to kill the cannon crew. But over here, that order that arrived with that messenger sent the Brunswick Lancers charging into this battalion that was advancing. Now, you might remember from shows on tactics, I advised against attacking frontally infantry in line, but orders are orders, and they're doing it, so that'll be interesting to see the end result of that. The Dragoons have come up behind to support the infantry if they lose, and of course these Hussars have moved over and are on the flank now of the Lancers, so even if the Lancers win this, it's not going to be pretty. And the Mamelukes are moving around the flank there. So that's just the end of the movement phase. We'll now do the calculations and see what happens. Now it's the end of move number 8, and I've done the calculations. And what we've seen here is these German lights have gone forward again, and this time they have killed the gun crew. The gun is out of operation. This is a big win for the French. The rifles there are continuing to take casualties though from the German lights. The Lancers, the Brunswick Lancers, attacked that line and won their melee. The line, what's left of it, is in retreat. However, now they face the combined efforts of the Dragoons and the huzzas. So that's the end of move number 8. I think this could be getting close to the end. End of move number 9. And yes, the Lancers were caught reforming by the Dragoons and have been totally annihilated. Over here, the lights, the German lights, their morale is broken. The casualties that they've suffered have been extreme. The French battalions have been given the order to advance. They're moving forward, and that particular battalion there is in retreat at the moment. Over here, the Mamelukes attacked the Brunswick rifles and came off worse for the melee. But you know, the gun's gone. This battalion here is suffering casualties, be it ever so slowly, from the horse gun behind the mill here. So the Brunswicks are just holding on at this point, but I don't think they're going to win, because that cavalry can come around and destroy the ammunition train here, and that of course will lose them the battle. But we'll just play this out to make sure that's what is going to happen. End of move number 10, and the French battalions have moved forward and let go a tremendous volley, which has taken out most of the rifles behind cover there. The horse gun here is firing canister into this battalion here and taking out casualties. A little bit slow, but it's wearing them down. The French hussars and dragoons are coming around the flank now, and the ammunition train and supply wagons are totally vulnerable. The men in the house are well protected and could hold out for a little while. Again, the French could pull back and just use the horse gun to demolish that house shot by shot till they eventually surrender. The commander of the Brunswicks sees that the situation is now hopeless and has surrendered his forces. So this skirmish is over, and we'll do a post-mortem of it once everything's cleaned up. But as you can see, the French have actually survived rather well. That battalion there is severely injured. This one here is in good order, and that one there that was attacked by the Lancers has survived with about half its number as casualties. Whereas the Nassaus have a full battalion in the house in good order. That battalion there is in reasonable order, and that one over there has been completely destroyed. And I think really that was one of the key moves to this battle. I thought the bringing of the horse gun around the flank would have been more advantageous than it has been. Today, the horse gun hasn't really done that much damage. It's certainly kept the pressure on, but it had really nothing to do with taking out the howitzer. That was done by the German lights, who suffered greatly for it. There they are over there, what's left of them. But by taking out that howitzer, they really made this task a lot easier. And so that's the skirmish at Braun's house. As I said, in a little while I'll do a post-mortem. Today's skirmish will be called the skirmish at Braun's house. Poor old Mr. Farmer Braun returned home to find his house in one piece, which was pretty good. Could have been blown to pieces by cannon fire or everything shattered by musket balls, but instead he entered his house to find that the interior was completely destroyed, and anything that was of value has either been stolen by first the Brunswicks or secondly the French as they went through. But at least his roof's on and he's out of the rain. So it is the skirmish for Braun's house. All right, just doing a post-mortem on this skirmish that took place. Firstly, we'll look at the Brunswicks. No problem with their setup. They had men in the farmhouse, rifles all around. They had their lancers over here in the clear field and a battalion in that paddock over there to shoot into the flank of any approaching enemy. They had their howitzers set up here, which could fire across the whole spectrum of the battlefield, and another battalion guarding this flank. What went wrong for them? Losing that battalion over there didn't help, but the main problem was that the French had two half battalions of cavalry, hussars and dragoons, and sometimes it's better to have two smaller units that can manoeuvre and cause a problem for the one large unit of Brunswick Lancers that was here. The commander got the Lancers to attack that French unit with the hope of putting it out of action, which he did. The howitzer here's job was to concentrate on that other French battalion on the French French left flank, and if he could have got it to retreat through casualties, that would have stopped the French advance because of the morale of the whole army. But unfortunately for him, the French commander sent forward the German lights, and they managed to shoot up the gun crew and put the howitzer out of action, something that the horse gun coming up on this flank couldn't do. The horse gun today was a bit of a disappointment insofar as it seemed ineffectual. It couldn't actually take out gun crew, it couldn't hit the gun. It did concentrate on the battalion of Brunswicks that were on this flank and was reducing them, but it wasn't spectacular, and I guess that's because it's a horse gun, it's quite small. Remember, the Mamelukes had come around on this flank. They ran into the some units of the Brunswick rifles and came off worse for that melee. Those Brunswick's rifles are very good at melee. But in the end, with the cavalry being able to come around on the flank and take the baggage train of the Brunswicks, the battle was, for all intent and purposes, lost. And the commander saw that and surrendered. So the French actually came out of this with not as many casualties as I thought they might originally take, attacking a fortified position. Their cavalry had done very well. Its losses were minimal. And they've taken the farmhouse. So there's nothing much as a skirmish goes. It was quite quick, 10 moves, but they were fast moves because of the numbers involved. And on that point, the forces today had 1,100 points per side each, so they were equal, just different in makeup. And when you consider that equal numbers attacking a stationary position, the French did very well to take this. Alrighty, so that's the end of this particular battle. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is the last one for 2019. We'll start again in 2020. So thanks very much. Keep watching and letting me know what you think. Bye.